Hello, everyone. I'm here with Micheline Nader today. My name is Trace Haskins, and Micheline is an incredible leader in the world, and she's here to share her top 3 books, or at least 3 of her favorite books, on the topic of leadership that could really have an impact on the way that you lead and the way that you live your life, run your business if you're an entrepreneur, and the way that you create success and also move beyond success. So, Micheline, thank you for being with us today. It's always incredible. We're going to be talking about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We're also going to be talking about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And last but not least, this book right here, this gem, Leap Beyond Success by Micheline Nader, How Leaders Evolve. So if we really dig into Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Micheline, what would you say are the big takeaways for you? I know you read it fairly young in your life, right? You were fairly at the kind of early part of your life and career. So what were the big things for you back then, and what do you think are the big things from this book that will impact our listeners today?
Hi, Trace. Thanks for being here with us too, with the audience. And it's true. I one of the first books I read about leadership was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and I think I was maybe 17 years old, and it really affected me, and I felt that it changed something. It changed my outlook towards leadership back at that age, even as a teenager. And when I first took my first leadership role, that was at age 23, I did apply this book, and I feel that this book, until now, it is relevant, and people are talking about it, and they apply it. Like if you follow Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins, they refer to this book a lot, Think and Grow Rich, and mostly they refer to the Mastermind, because I think even Dean Graziosi created the Mastermind group in his work, and also he referred to him in his book. So what affected me a lot was that really we can visualize our desire. We can take our desire and execute on our desire. And if you know me enough, you know that I like to be really pragmatic. I like to execute on what we create in our mind. But for me, the fact that we were able to visualize, and when I was like young still and not familiar like now with the principles of visualization, and for Napoleon Hill to talk about it was great, and how we can influence the subconscious, because now I realize that a lot of my work was also inspired by that. Like when I talk about the how to affect the mindset and our emotions and all this, and create whatever we want, it was inspired by these books. And I know nowadays people do not read books the way they did, because we have all the media and the social media and the YouTube, but it's so important to reference what affected our leadership and what helped us evolve our leadership in the world. So the fact that Napoleon Hill talked about the subconscious and the mastermind, and how we can coordinate all this knowledge with effort and execute and create what we want, and especially we think it and then we grow it and we become rich because of it, is a great book. Yes.
I love it. I love what you shared. Yeah, it was really impactful on my life and career as well. I really resonate with what you talked about as well with the mastermind principle, right? It's so powerful, and the way that he describes it is that it's this coming together of multiple minds, 2 or more people. It creates one kind of like larger mind, right? It's interconnected, And there's really great power in that. And the way that he describes it in the book is incredible. And as you mentioned, people like Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, they created things around that. And you've created, material around it as well. It's very powerful. Another thing for me as well, I think, was really this idea of autosuggestion. The fact that we can reprogram our subconscious mind. It was this book that introduced that to me the first time. And when you really dig into the power of your subconscious, like, it's critical that you get a handle on how to influence what you put in there. And the autosuggestion was a big takeaway for me. So great book. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Yes.
I love that you read it as a teenager. I was already a bit older when it entered into my life. And I think it's never too early. So if you haven't read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill yet, I think it's important that you do. Some people are turned off by the title, the word rich, like especially if we have money paradigms or we think that, this word rich, it doesn't necessarily resonate with everybody. But what he's talking about there, it's not just money, right? It's riches in all forms. Would you agree with that, Micheline? It's like it's beyond just the financial aspect, which is great, but it's more than just the finances, right?
Right. A lot of people were attracted to it as well, and I think the people who were attracted to it and were able to apply it got a lot out of it.
Yeah.
It's. But I do agree with you definitely that when we talk about richness is like being rich or being successful are subjective topics, and if I may suggest to the audience that if you have a problem with the connotation rich, you may think about it, because think a little bit why you have this, trigger about it, because this may be in the way of you becoming rich if you want to become rich, but you're turned off by the term. So I really may suggest that, but and if you do, there are books and material and content that we're going to suggest in a little bit with Trace for you to get rid of this belief that is in the way of you becoming successful or rich.
That's great. Yeah, it's super important that you really analyze these beliefs and where they came from, why they're there, and how they may be holding you back. And I think we'll be creating probably lots of content on that in the future too about that topic. So we'll dig in deep, and as Micheline said, we'll have some suggestions for you. But let's dive in now to the next book on your list, Micheline, which is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. What would you say, again, back when you initially read the book, like, what was the big aha impact for you? How do you use it now? And what do you think, is possible for our listeners with adapting the wisdom from this book?
If I remember correctly, the introduction was really impactful to me. And I think he mentioned that he was on a train, and then there was this guy with his kids, and the kid was very turbulent and he was very noisy, and people were annoyed with him, and the dad was sitting there and not doing anything about it, like not even reacting. And then this lady was really annoyed, and she looked at the dad and she told him, "Couldn't you discipline your kid?" And he looked at her and he said, "I'm really sorry, but he just lost his mom." And really the whole thing was put into perspective now, that what we see is not always what it is, and to put yourself in other people's shoes. So this is what I write also about in Leap Beyond Success, that don't forget to put yourself in other people's shoes, especially if you're a leader and your staff and your partners and the people you work with in their shoes, and sometimes just develop this empathy that after that, other people talked about, like Daniel Goleman. What I liked also about, there are the 7 habits are great as skills that people can develop from being proactive to putting the end in mind, because it's always good to keep your eyes on the ball, setting up your priorities, which I like, put first things first in the book. And this is something I've always practiced. Like, I am behind on a lot of things, like all of you. Like, we're all right now overwhelmed with the amount of information and the amount of things that we have to do. But put first things first, and then at least you get the first things done. And then what I loved also about this book, that he was probably the first who talked about win-win. I talk in Leap, I talk about the triple win, that not only you and I win, but in order to leap, we want also others around us to win. But I like that, he started that thought process for all of us, and seek to understand as well as to be understood, because a lot of people say I'm not understood here, I am not understood about around here, but also seek to understand. And the synergies, like when we all work together, there is a synergy in our work, and working alone is not good enough. I was talking to someone yesterday, and he was talking about leadership, and he said, I did hire, and I think that person was in research and health and wellness research, and he said that he had hired a great neuroscientist who was a professor to his company. And then after 2 months, this neuroscientist was working by himself. So he approached them and he said, like, why are you working by yourself? Like, why? We have to work as teams. Like, why you don't attend any team meeting, any meeting? He said, I don't work with meetings. I said, so how do you work? He said, I work by myself. He said, what about your team? He said, I don't rely on my team for anything, because I do work better by myself than delegating the work. So he said, I had no choice except firing this great neuroscientist because he didn't want to work with others. So in 7 Habits, Steve Covey talks about he talks about this synergize and work with synergy, and so that's something also that I liked about the book, because without your team, you're as good as your team is like, there's no ifs or buts about it. What about you, Trace? Do you like this book?
Yeah, I love it. I resonate with everything that you shared. Actually, those are like big takeaways for me. But the last thing that you're talking about is interesting. This concept of working alone or working with a team, and the synergy, and having the habit of synergizing with a team, and leading people as well, and leading each other. Right. I love how you talk in Leap Beyond Success about leading each other like the Canadian geese. Right. It's so important, and that also relates to the mastermind principle that Napoleon Hill talks about. Like when we come together as these individual minds, each one of us has our own specialized knowledge, but we come together with a shared goal. So much more powerful, and I would argue, so much more fun as well. Like I'm one of those people who likes to work alone a lot as well, because I feel like, okay, I've got total focus and I've got this creative energy. So I feel like I switch between modes, but you don't want to only work there, right? It's like you need to come together, you need to synergize, you need to work together, because even if you're going in and out of some solo time, right, where you're connected with source or whatever you want to call it, and you've got the creative flow going, you come back and then you connect with other people in your environment, whether it's local to you or it's your team that might happen to be across the world from each other. It's so powerful. So I like that you highlighted that.
Yeah, and there are like some jobs where you have to be creative and you have to do it by yourself. This is different, but also when let's say as a neuroscientist and research, you've spent your time working alone, and then integrating a team is very hard. So so my suggestion is, before you integrate like an organization, And even if you have been so successful doing things together in an organization, sorry for that,
Earthquakes are
in an
happening.
organ,
The earth is moving.
yes, earthquakes are happening in
This
New
is,
York
yeah.
City right now, and that's true. That's what we got today. So yeah, we're shaking it.
We're shaking things
We're
up, guys.
shaking it.
You're
We're
live with us
shaking.
right now as we shake things up, literally.
Right, right, right. So yes, so we have some aftershocks according to the emergency alert.
So that's actually a great transition now into the third book, Leap Beyond Success: How Leaders Evolve, which happens to be this beautiful piece of art right here, art and science, and it happens to be written by none other than you, Micheline Nader. This is an incredible book. If you guys haven't picked it up yet, I highly recommend that you do that. As Micheline already mentioned, you're going to find all kinds of things in here that intertwine with Think and Grow Rich and the the 7 habits of highly effective people, right? And lots of other great work in the world. But this is great because it really brings people into this mindset of the triple win, as you mentioned, Micheline, and how to be an effective leader in the world in many different ways. And it's really, if I could summarize it, it's like when you really master yourself and your intention, and you create clarity about what you're up to in the world. And once you have that clarity, you then do a little bit of work to really connect with who you are as a human being, and you learn to, utilize things like emotional intelligence, and you learn to align your mindset, and you learn to program your emotions, right? It's so powerful the way that you can then show up in the world for yourself and for others. So I know you're a little bit biased, Micheline, but what are your favorite parts of this book? How do you see it impacting the people of the world the most? And what do you think people need to know about it today if they've never, opened the pages yet?
Thank you, Trace. Yeah, it was a labor of love for sure, and for me, if you're familiar with my work, with the previous one, also the Dolphin's Dance, the 5-step journey into conscious awareness. It's my books are pragmatic, and this is what I like about it. I like that people have tools they do the exercise, they learn what they have to learn about the topic, and they go into the exercise and they reap the benefit. They take something with them at any step of the book. Some people are not fulfilled in their life despite success because they did not connect with their passion. So you can start there. Some people are not fulfilled because they feel that they created success and it was based on their passion, but still they're not fulfilled. There is something missing there. And what's missing could be that they were not able, or they're not able to control their emotions or build on the positive emotions, or something in their mindset keeps telling them that it's not enough, you're not enough, you're not good enough. Or they may be great at their professional life and not great at their personal life. I've always hovered and loved transformational books because in the nonfiction world, because you get something out of it. And we all want to improve our life in one way or another. And I've been inspired by this, but also I've been an entrepreneur, and a successful one. And if I did this, it was because I was pragmatic. I was able to put some big principles into practice, and Trace, like you, if when you love your kids, you love your family, your spouse, and whenever you eat something good or you participate in a good seminar and you learn from it, you're so excited to share it with her, right? Or with them. For me, when I became cognizant that success alone is meaningless, that you have to bring people with you, then that urge of sharing it with others became an impulse.
Mhm.
Like, first, the love of the people around me and the empathy that I have for especially leaders who go through a lot of challenges. And sometimes they're there not by choice. And why leaders? Like humans also, because in my first book, it's always addressed to these people, but also because we're all leading some venture somehow, somewhere, even leading a house, a leading a project. So leaders does not mean only CEOs or presidents or chairmen or owners of a company. We all have a certain leadership quality in us, but probably we haven't developed the skills for it, and we don't recognize it in ourselves. Yesterday, I had lunch with a beautiful friend, and she said, I'm the concierge of the family, but I'm not sure that my family recognizes this that I do. I said, do you? Do you recognize that quality in you? She said, yes. She said, but it's time for me to connect with my passion. I said, it's the right thing to do. She said, I did it because I have a family, but now I want to connect with my passion. So what would be the first thing that I told her? Well, okay, connect with that first part first of the book. If someone comes to me and tells me, look, I know my passion, I know how to execute, I'm great, like I'm a good manager and I execute really well, but everyone is disgruntled around me. So what do I say? I say, oh, okay, go back to execute from your purpose and create and motivate your team based on all the new neuroscience findings that we have, and use it. When Napoleon Hill wrote his book Think and Grow Rich, it was in a different time. Now we have so many tools available to us, so many tools. And I know that everybody is fascinated with artificial intelligence and algorithm and big data, but it's the time to develop our human qualities as well. It's mostly our human qualities. Even now, people are already overwhelmed by the amount of information. We are too, right? Our brain is not wired to take what we're taking. If we don't develop our human qualities and our consciousness and our human intelligence the same way that, I mean, at the same rate right now, because the rate is so exponential of artificial intelligence, I don't know what really will happen to our brain and our race as a human race. So it's more important than ever today to develop our human qualities. So books like this are important. And if you can't read because you don't have time to read, I mean, look at the technology available to us now. You can download the Audible, you can, and thanks to you, Trace, also we have these like great online courses right now, like that people can, download and do it whenever you want at your own pace. So here's what I have. So I wish that you will enjoy this and it will affect your life. It will help evolve leadership in the world the same way that Stephen Covey and Napoleon Hill and Daniel Goleman. We'll talk about Daniel Goleman another time when we talk about the emotional intelligence and how program your emotions in Leap Beyond Success also was inspired a lot by the work of Daniel Goleman and others. So for those great pioneers who inspired us, I wish that you would put all this work into practice and you continue inspiring others.
Yeah, beautifully said. Thank you, Micheline. Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? It's about putting these principles into practice. And all these books that we've talked about today, they have wonderful ideas and tools, but they're only going to impact you so much until you actually really hardcore make the commitment to actually implementing them. And that's one of the things that I love about this book, Micheline, is it gives you all these tools to actually implement very easily into your life. And it's really full and complete, no matter if you are feeling like you're not feeling fulfilled in your career right now, if you want to create more success, or if you've created success and you still kind of feel this emptiness inside, right? All those are great reasons to read this book. Otherwise, maybe you're feeling fantastic and you love the way that you show up in life and you love the way that you show up in your career and your business, but you just want to be a better leader so that you can help other people experience more passion, joy, and fulfillment. Also a great book, because you're going to basically, the more aware that you can become, like Micheline talks about conscious awareness, right? The more aware you are of how things work, how you work, the more you can help other people become aware of how they work, and you can all work together. And at the end of the day, Micheline, I think you'll agree, it's all about living a passionate, fulfilled life. And if you're in a career, or if you're a leader of any kind in a business, or even in your personal life, right? Like if you're leading your household, you are leading, and the way that you approach leadership is going to alter your experience as well as the experience of the people in your field. And it's just great to be in this material and be embodying it, right? It really is, at the end of the day, about learning it and embodying it. And as Micheline mentioned, there's Leap Beyond Success. You can go and find it on Amazon. You can download the Audible version on Audible, or on Apple Books as well. You can download the audiobook. And we've developed some great new online resources. Some are free, some are very low investment. You can go to michelinnader.com, or if you're on YouTube right now watching this, click the links in the YouTube description, depending upon what is appealing to you right now. And Micheline will guide you on this beautiful journey of leaping beyond success, and really embodying what that truly means. So thank you for watching today. It's been a pleasure. Micheline, thank you for sharing all of your wisdom with us today, and we'll see you again soon. Like this video, please, if you got value. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let the algorithms know that this is resonating, and leave a comment as well. If you want to share, if you've read these books already and you want to share what your favorite takeaways are, we would also love to hear that. So please share that in the comments below. And thanks for being here.
Yes. Thank you.